Labor Day weekend, 1998, a routine traffic stop became a deputy-involved shooting.
It happened on Tucson's South Side late at night. This is our video from 17 years ago. The stop turned into a pursuit. The suspect shot at two deputies who returned the fire and killed him.
Thousands of law enforcement personnel leave their home each and every day in southern Arizona, and they're not guaranteed to come back.
Night on Your Side got an exclusive interview with Pima County Sheriff Sergeant Eric Maldonado. He was one of the deputies involved in that shooting 17 years ago.
Now on Your Side's Keaton Thomas has Maldonado's story.
I was working a DUI task force on Labor Day weekend in 1998.
556 break. I'm 1080 with the vehicle.
You're hearing Deputy Eric Maldonado. This is radio traffic released tonight on Your Side from the night of the shooting.
556 break. I'm 1080 with the vehicle. Eastbound on Benson Highway from Country Club.
1080 means he's in pursuit.
Noticed that the vehicle drove left of center.
He was weaving in the roadway slightly. He touched the white curb line.
That's when he began pursuit of this car.
Pontiac Coupe, E27, Bravo, Papa X-ray.
Seemed like the driver was going to cooperate.
We're stopping.
But as soon as I got out of my car, he took off again.
And we're keep going, 15 miles an hour.
I can see him kind of slouching over, bending over at the waist, and it seemed like he was looking for something under the front seat.
He was reaching in his jacket for something. I'm not sure if he's 1032 or not.
1032 means the suspect's armed. The suspect in this case stopped here on Milton Street on the south side.
And the driver immediately opened the door and started running.
By this time, Maldonado's friend and deputy Steve Carpenter joined in the pursuit. The suspect, though, fled on foot, and their chase ended in a small space behind a mobile home.
Escalating quickly. It's just snowballing. And then Steve says, he yells out, "He's got a gun."
This is when time slowed down.
It's just like an out-of-body experience.
Shots fired, shots fired.
And the round goes off. And it goes right by me, and I shot.
55699.
And then I could hear Steve shoot. And it was just muffled. It barely made a whisper.
Suspect 900.
I just took someone's life. As soon as Steve and I shot, everything just sped back up to real time.
Then they went to check on the suspect, and Maldonado says he needed to be reassured that he did the right thing.
They pull their weapon, they shoot at you. You have no other recourse but to shoot and defend yourself, to use deadly force, and all I was worried about was finding that gun.
Immediately after the shooting, investigation began. The department gathered evidence. Maldonado followed procedure, and when he got home that night, all he wanted to do was sleep. Instead, he just relived it all.
Shots fired, shots fired.
It was as if there was a tape recorder in my head, and it was a continuous loop, over and over and over and over again. And I was just praying, God, just let it stop.
He says it played like that for a year, but he finally broke down when he listened to himself on the tape.
When I heard myself say,
55699.
which is officer-involved shooting, and just to hear it, and to hear the sirens, and hear all the controlled chaos, if you will, on the radio, it just brought all that emotion to a head. And I started crying.
Memories crept in at inopportune times.
You could be at your kid's birthday party, and you're thinking about killing someone. I don't want to think about that at my kid's birthday party. For years, I could not use the word kill. I couldn't say that word because it sounded like dirty to me.
Maldonado said his biggest fear was being alone, not dying. He didn't know it at the time, but he met his current wife the night before the shooting. And you could argue one reason he's with his family today is because he followed the first rule of law enforcement: go home alive.
I will come home at the end of the night. My wife, my son, and my daughter, they are depending on me to come home at the end of the night.
Maldonado now shares his experience with deputies training to protect the rest of the community. Keaton Thomas, KGUN-9 on your side.
That simple rule, going home alive, is taught to all deputies going through training.
But following an officer-involved shooting, deputies go through plenty more than most people know. Immediately after the incident, a deputy's clothes, equipment are taken into evidence. He or she is questioned and eventually released.
Russ Kingery is a chaplain with the Sheriff's Department and has met with a number of deputies following the shooting. He says reactions like Eric's are normal.
One common response is tunnel vision. In Maldonado's case, it was focusing on the suspect's gun.
It's a humanity of the deputies because no one wants to take a life, as I said before, but once you have, there's always a concern, did I do everything right? Did I do what I should have done?
After a shooting, the department consistently checks up on deputies. The one-year mark is generally the most important.